What would you do if you discovered someone had been watching your most private moments for months? I should have known something was wrong the day I moved in, but when you are running on 3 hours of sleep and your checking account is screaming at you, red flags just look like regular flags. My name is Sienna Clark, and 6 months ago I was a broke graduate nursing student desperately searching for a room I could afford within walking distance of Memorial Hospital. The overnight shifts were killing me, 12 hours on my feet from 7 at night until 7 in the morning, and I needed a place where I could stumble home and collapse without worrying about a 40-minute commute. That is how I found Ivy Martinez and her perfect little house on Maple Grove, listed on a roommate matching app for just $600 a month. $600 in this neighborhood was insane, the kind of price that makes you wonder what is wrong with the place. But when I met Ivy for the walkthrough, everything seemed fine. Better than fine, actually. The house was gorgeous, a renovated craftsman with original hardwood floors and big windows that let in tons of natural light. Ivy was 28, worked remotely as a graphic designer, and seemed nice enough if a little quiet. She showed me my room, a decent-sized space on the second floor with its own bathroom, and explained that the low rent was because she had just gone through a bad breakup and did not want to be alone in the house. I get that, I told her, and I signed the lease that same day. The smart home features were the first thing I noticed when I started settling in. Everything in that house was connected: the lights, the thermostat, the locks, even the refrigerator. Ivy loved it. She would walk through rooms saying things like, "Alexa, turn off the kitchen lights," or "Hey Google, set the temperature to 72, and the house would just obey. She told me her ex-boyfriend Ezekiel had installed everything when they were together. He worked as a smart home technician and had outfitted the whole place as a gift. That is so thoughtful, I said, because I was an idiot. For the first few weeks everything seemed normal. I would come home from my overnight shifts around 7:30 in the morning, completely exhausted, and sleep until 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Then I would wake up, study for a few hours, eat something, and head back to the hospital. It was a brutal schedule, but I was managing. Ivy and I did not see each other much. She kept to her office during the day and I was either sleeping or at work, but when we did cross paths she was always pleasant. A little jumpy maybe, she would startle easily when I came down the stairs or walked into the kitchen, but I figured she was just adjusting to having a roommate again. The weird thing started small. One morning I came home and found the front door unlocked, not just unlocked but standing slightly open, maybe an inch or two. I texted Ivy asking if she had gone out, but she said she had been in her office all morning and the door had been locked when she checked it at 6. We both kind of laughed it off. Maybe the smart lock was glitchy. Maybe one of us had not closed it properly the night before. Ivy said she would have Ezekiel look at it, then immediately corrected herself, said she would call the company that made the lock. That same week I started noticing my things had been moved. Nothing dramatic, just small shifts: my shampoo bottle facing a different direction in the shower, my textbook stacked in a different order on my desk, a coffee mug I was certain I had left on my nightstand now sitting on my dresser. I told myself I was just tired. Working overnight completely destroys your sense of time and space, and I was probably moving things in my sleep-deprived haze and forgetting about it. Then I started hearing the whispers. It would happen when I was alone in the house, usually in the afternoon when Ivy had gone out for groceries or to meet a client. I would be studying in my room and I would hear voices, faint and indistinct, coming from somewhere in the walls. At first I thought it was neighbors. The houses on Maple Grove are close together, but the voices seemed to be coming from inside, from the heating vents maybe, or through the floorboards. I could never make out words, just the rhythm of conversation, low and constant. I mentioned it to Ivy one evening and her face went pale. "You hear them too," she said, and something about the way she said it made my stomach drop. "What do you mean I hear them too?" I asked. She looked at me for a long moment, then shook her head. "Nothing," she said. "It is probably just the smart speakers. Sometimes they activate on their own when they pick up random sounds. I will adjust the settings." But the whispers did not stop. Around week 5 I started feeling watched. It is hard to explain, that sensation of eyes on you when you are supposed to be alone, but it was constant and overwhelming. I would be getting dressed in my room and I would freeze, convinced someone was looking at me through the window even though I was on the second floor. I would be taking a shower and I would hear a sound, just a tiny click or shift, and I would tear open the curtain expecting to find someone standing there. The worst part was I could not sleep anymore. Even though I was exhausted from my shifts, I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to shake the feeling that I was being observed. I started changing clothes in my closet with the door closed. I covered my laptop camera with tape. I even started sleeping with a blanket over my head like a child. My grades started slipping. I was making mistakes at work. My clinical instructor pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay at home. I do not know, I told her, and I meant it. One afternoon in early July, I came home to find Ivy sitting at the kitchen table crying. I had never seen her like that. She was always so composed, but now her hands were shaking and her face was blotchy and red. I sat down across from her and asked what was wrong. She showed me her phone. On the screen was a text message from an unknown number, no words, just a photo. It was a picture of Ivy in the kitchen, taken from somewhere high up, maybe from the corner near the ceiling. She was wearing the exact same clothes she had on right now. The photo had been taken maybe 20 minutes ago. "Sienna," she whispered, "he is in the house." "Who is in the house?" I asked, even though part of me already knew. "Ezekiel," she said, and then she told me everything. They had dated for 3 years, she explained, and for the first 2 years it had been good. But then Ezekiel started getting possessive, jealous, controlling. He wanted to know where she was every second of the day. He would show up at her work unannounced. He would accuse her of cheating if she so much as smiled at another man. When she finally broke up with him 6 months ago, he did not take it well. He begged her to take him back, sent her hundreds of texts and emails, showed up at her house at all hours. She had to threaten him with a restraining order before he finally seemed to back off. "But he never really left," she said. "He has been watching me this whole time." She showed me more messages, dozens of them, all from different unknown numbers. Photos of her inside the house, taken from angles where there should not be any cameras. Close-ups of her laptop screen showing her work projects. Pictures of her sleeping. And comments, detailed observations about what she wore, what she ate, who she talked to on the phone. The messages had started a few weeks after I moved in, and they had been getting more frequent, more specific, more threatening. "Why did you not tell me?" I asked, and I hated how my voice sounded, high and scared. Ivy looked at me with hollow eyes. "Because he said if I told anyone he would release videos of me, private videos from when we were together. And he said if I tried to remove any of his equipment he would know, and he would make me regret it." I felt sick. "What equipment?" I asked. "All of it," she said. "The smart locks, the cameras, the speakers, the thermostat, everything. It is all still connected to his accounts. I never changed any of it because I did not know how, and I was afraid he would find out if I tried." "We need to call the police," I said. She shook her head. "I tried once, after the first few messages. They said without proof of him actually entering the house or making explicit threats they could not do anything. They told me to document everything and file for a restraining order, but that would take weeks and he would know I was doing it." "How would he know?" I asked. She pointed at the ceiling. "Because he is listening to us right now." That night I tore my room apart looking for cameras. I checked every corner, every vent, every light fixture, every outlet cover. I found the first one inside the smoke detector, a tiny lens no bigger than a pencil eraser. The second one was behind the bathroom mirror, drilled through the wall from the other side. The third one was inside the ceiling fan, angled down at my bed. I found 7 cameras in my room alone. I documented everything with my phone, took pictures and videos, then I went downstairs and found Ivy doing the same thing. We spent hours searching, moving furniture, unscrewing panels, taking apart every smart device we could find. We found cameras everywhere, in the living room, the kitchen, the hallways, even inside the refrigerator. Some were hidden in the smart devices themselves, but others were completely separate, tiny wireless cameras tucked into air vents and crown molding and picture frames. We found 19 cameras total, but we both knew there had to be more. At 11 that night, exhausted and terrified, we decided to factory reset everything. Ivy had found instructions online for wiping the smart home system. We would have to reset every device simultaneously to keep Ezekiel from being alerted and locking us out. It was risky, but we did not have a choice. We could not live like this anymore. We started with the smart hub in the living room, then moved through the house unplugging and resetting every device we could find. The process took almost an hour, and when we finally finished we stood in the kitchen catching our breath. That is when the screaming started. Every speaker in the house activated at once, blasting sound at full volume. But it was not music or white noise, it was us, recordings of our voices, our conversations, our private moments. I heard myself crying on the phone to my mother about how stressed I was. I heard Ivy talking to her therapist about her fears of never escaping Ezekiel. I heard sounds I did not immediately recognize, intimate sounds, and then I realized with horror that they were recordings of me in the bathroom, in the shower, in my bed at night. The thermostat display started flashing, the temperature reading climbing rapidly, 80 degrees, 85, 90, 95. Within minutes the house was sweltering, the air thick and hard to breathe. Then just as suddenly the temperature plummeted, dropping to 50 degrees, the air conditioning blasting Arctic air through the vents. The refrigerator went dark, the freezer stopped humming. All the interior doors slammed shut and locked, the smart locks engaging with loud mechanical clicks. Ivy and I were separated, she was in the kitchen and I was in the living room, and when I tried to open the door between us it would not budge. Then the speakers cut off the recordings and a new voice came through, calm and familiar and absolutely chilling. "Hello, Ivy," Ezekiel said, his voice coming from every speaker in the house. "Hello, Sienna. I see you found some of my cameras, that is okay, you did not find them all. I have been watching you both for months now, keeping Ivy safe, making sure she does not make any more bad decisions. But you, Sienna, you have been a corrupting influence, you have been encouraging her to forget about us, about what we have together." I could hear Ivy screaming from the kitchen, pounding on the door. "I installed something special in the walls when I set up the smart system," Ezekiel continued. "A Wi-Fi jammer, military grade. It activates whenever I want it to. Your phones will not work, you cannot call for help, you cannot contact anyone. I disabled it the moment you started factory resetting my equipment. I looked at my phone, no signal, no Wi-Fi, nothing. I am 15 minutes away," Ezekiel said. "I am coming to fix everything, to help Ivy understand that we belong together, that you, Sienna, are the problem. When I get there we are going to have a conversation, all three of us, and then you are going to leave and never come back." The front door lock clicked, disengaging remotely. I heard it swing open. The lights started going out, one by one, starting from the entryway and moving deeper into the house. The living room went dark, then the hallway, creating a path of shadows leading toward the kitchen where Ivy was trapped. "I can see you, Sienna," Ezekiel whispered through the speakers. "You are standing by the couch, you are wearing your blue scrubs, you look so scared. I have always been able to see you, from the very first day you moved in. I watched you unpack, I watched you sleep, I watched everything. You never had any privacy, neither of you did, you have both been mine this whole time." My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I tried to think, tried to stay calm the way they taught us in nursing school when dealing with emergencies. I was in the living room, the front door was open but I would have to cross through the dark entryway to reach it, and Ezekiel said he was 15 minutes away, which meant he could already be close, could already be pulling into the driveway. But I had something he did not know about. During my orientation at the hospital they gave all the overnight staff personal safety alarms, little devices that clip to your scrubs and emit a 130 decibel shriek when activated. I had mine in my pocket, I carried it everywhere, and 130 decibels is loud enough to be heard for blocks. I pulled it out and activated it. The sound was deafening, a piercing wail that cut through Ezekiel's voice and the speaker system. I ran for the front door, stumbling through the dark entryway, and burst out onto the porch. The neighborhood was quiet, it was almost midnight, but the alarm was so loud that within seconds lights started turning on in nearby houses. I ran to the closest one, still in my scrubs, still clutching my phone even though it was useless, and pounded on the door. An elderly man answered, looking confused and alarmed. "I am being attacked," I screamed over the sound of my alarm. "Call 911, please, my roommate is trapped inside." He did not hesitate, he pulled out his phone and dialed while his wife appeared behind him. I turned back toward Ivy's house and saw a car pulling into the driveway, a dark sedan, and my heart seized. But then the car's headlights swept across the porch and I saw it was not Ezekiel, it was one of the neighbors, an older woman I recognized from down the street. She got out of her car and ran toward me. "What is happening?" she called out. "My roommate is locked inside," I said. "Her ex-boyfriend installed cameras and he is coming here right now." More neighbors emerged, drawn by the alarm and the commotion. The elderly man told me the police were on their way, ETA 3 minutes. His wife brought me a blanket even though it was summer and I was covered in sweat. "We need to get Ivy out," I said, but I was terrified to go back inside. One of the neighbors, a large man in his 40s, volunteered to come with me. We went back through the front door, he had a flashlight on his phone, and we made our way to the kitchen. The smart lock on the kitchen door was still engaged, but he put his shoulder to it and broke it open on the second try. Ivy was huddled in the corner, sobbing. When she saw me, she grabbed me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. We got her outside just as the police arrived, 2 patrol cars with lights flashing. I told them everything, showed them the photos on my phone of the cameras we had found, explained about Ezekiel and his threats. One of the officers radioed for backup and they went inside to secure the house. Ezekiel never showed up. The police found his car parked 2 blocks away, abandoned. He had been watching through the cameras when I activated the alarm and ran outside, and he had seen the neighbors responding, seen the police arriving. He ran. They found him 3 days later in a motel 40 miles away, and when they searched his laptop they found everything. Months of recordings, thousands of photos, detailed logs of Ivy's and my daily routines. He had been planning something, the police told us. They found supplies in his car, zip ties and duct tape and a hunting knife. They charged him with stalking, harassment, illegal surveillance, breaking and entering, and attempted kidnapping. He is in jail now awaiting trial. His bail was set at $200,000 and he could not make it. The prosecutor told us he is looking at 15 to 20 years. Ivy moved out of the house the day after Ezekiel was arrested. She could not stay there anymore and I did not blame her. I moved out 2 weeks later. I found a small apartment near the hospital that costs twice as much but has 0 smart home features. No cameras, no speakers, no smart locks, not even a smart thermostat. Just regular old-fashioned light switches and deadbolts and a chain on the door. It took months before I could sleep through the afternoon without waking up in a panic. I still cover my laptop camera with tape. I still check every room for cameras when I stay somewhere new. I still get nervous when I see security cameras in stores or restaurants. My therapist says I have PTSD, that what Ezekiel did was a profound violation of my safety and privacy, and that it will take time to heal. But I am healing. Slowly, painfully, but I am getting there. Ivy is doing better too. We still talk sometimes, text each other on bad days. She is living with her sister now in another city, seeing a therapist, trying to rebuild her life. She told me last week that she finally watched the video the prosecutor showed at Ezekiel's preliminary hearing, the one where he explained why he did it. He said he loved her, that he was protecting her, that he just wanted to be close to her even if she did not want him there. He did not sound crazy, she said. That is the scariest part. He sounded completely normal, like what he did made perfect sense. I think about that a lot, how someone can commit such horrifying violations and still believe they are in the right, still believe they are the hero of their own story. Ezekiel thought he was protecting Ivy, thought he was keeping her safe, when really he was destroying her. The trial is set for next month, and both Ivy and I will testify. The prosecutor is confident he will be convicted. The evidence is overwhelming. After everything is finished, Ivy plans to move abroad, somewhere Ezekiel could never find her even if he somehow got out early. She is talking about Spain or maybe Portugal, somewhere with sunshine and old buildings and no smart home technology. Sometimes I think about going with her, starting over completely, but I have worked too hard for my nursing degree to give it up now. I am almost done, just 1 more year, and then I will have a career I love in a field that actually helps people. I will never forget what happened in that house on Maple Grove, the cameras in the walls, the voice coming through the speakers, the feeling of being watched every moment of every day. But I survived it, we both did, and Ezekiel is going to prison where he belongs. That has to be enough, it has to be justice, because I cannot let him take anything else from me. He already took my sense of safety, my ability to trust my own perceptions, months of my life spent in fear. But he did not take everything, he did not break me, and he never will. I am Sienna Clark, I am a graduate nursing student, and I am still here, still fighting, still moving forward. And that, more than anything else, is my victory.